Hello, buenas tardes.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Hello, good evening.
Vamos a comenzar a tiempo para honrar el tiempo de todos.
We're going to start on time.
Estudiantes, familias, miembros del Comité Asesor Aprendices de Inglés, por sus siglas en inglés.
Good afternoon, everyone, students, family, ELAC members, staff, and community. Welcome to our Spanish speaking community conversation on how to reimagine multilingual learning. My name is Rene Borrero, and I'm a family resource specialist in the Office of English Learners at Boston Public Schools. Good afternoon. My name is Luz Barreto Longus, and I will be interpreting from Spanish to English. Today we're conducting the meeting in Spanish with interpretation in English. Presenters, remember to speak slowly and be mindful of the simultaneous interpretation. For those of you who need English interpretation, please ensure to click on the globe and select the English channel at the bottom of your screen. The rest of you select the Spanish channel.
Bienvenido a nuestra conversación.
Welcome to our Spanish speaking community conversation. Welcome to our Spanish speaking community conversation on reimagining multilingual learning. As I mentioned, my name is Rene Borrero, and I will be facilitating this evening's conversation with the help of my colleagues, Daphne Germain, Director of EL Program Planning and Implementation, and Dr. Sylvia Romero Johnson, Assistant Superintendent of the Office of English Learners, and Josefina Peralta, Family Resource Specialist. We also have support from other colleagues from the Office of English Learners and Community Engagement Team. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to share a brief update on the Spanish dual language program and to learn about the process and share the input on the roadmap for quality education for multilingual learning. This meeting is part of a larger series of meetings in which we are beginning to reimagine the Office of English Learners. Our agenda for this meeting is to hear a brief update on the Spanish dual language program, followed by the presentation on the roadmap to quality education on multilingual learning. We will then have a panelist discussion followed by an opportunity for our questions and comments from everyone. To be respectful of everyone's time, we will wrap up on time by 6:30 p.m. Tonight's meeting is being recorded to serve as a resource for those who couldn't be here tonight. Our ways of being for this meeting are to be present, respectful, open, mindful, engaged, and to lean into discomfort.
Next, Daphne. Gracias. Gracias, René.
Si tiene una pregunta o comentario,
if you have a question during the presentation, please feel free to write it in the chat or raise your hand. And the workers from BPS, after your name, please put BPS so we'll know that you are part of the program of the district. Currently in Boston Public Schools, we offer multiple EL programs to our students who are English learners. These programs were created to support English language learners as required after question 2 was passed back in 2002. Question 2 promoted an English-only centric vision, but now we have the opportunity and the tools to move away from this vision of promoting one language over other languages.
Next, please. Realmente queremos
We really want to engage in these conversations about the future direction of the services and programs of the multilingual learners. One of the greatest assets of our community is its linguistic diversity. There are over 70 different languages reported by parents and students, and Spanish is one of the largest in the district. We find ourselves at a juncture point because we have been afforded the opportunity to completely rethink how we serve our students. The fact the Look Act was passed a few years ago and the district has approved a strategic plan and equity tool framework are all aligned to push the needs of ELs to the forefront. So now is the time for the paradigm shift from seeing English learners from a deficit perspective to an asset-based perspective for all students who desire access to our world-class education through the implementation of more language-based programs.
Next, please.
Benefits of bilingualism. Current research shows that children can acquire more than one language at a time, and certainly being able to develop, maintain one's home language, one's heritage language is certainly not only doable, but it actually provides many advantages. It provides cognitive flexibility to our students. As you can see on this slide, there are many brain functions that give those who are bilingual a great advantage. There is also research in the field of second language acquisition and the dual programming that shows that the more we incorporate content and language development at the same time, and the more we move to using two or more languages to a greater extent, including developmental reading and writing in two languages, we think for the long term, we have the potential to not only reach, but also surpass the academic achievement of non-English learners.
Next, please. Objetivos.
Goals. So our department has engaged in a change process. It will require the change process to move from the current reality to where we want it to be, you know, where our vision is taking us. So what we want and we've done so far is that we have identified an external partner to help us work through this change process, to help us to ensure that we are utilizing the most current research so that we can write and put this plan forward. We are going to engage with stakeholders internally and externally to increase our understanding of your programming and to obtain feedback. So today is the beginning of that process. We are forming a steering committee with internal and external stakeholders to supervise the implementation of this plan. By the end of May, we want to create this document that we are calling the roadmap. This roadmap will be presented to the school committee and it will be the result of all of the engagement of the stakeholders. We also hope or are hoping to rebrand our office, the Office of English Learners, to the Office of Multilingual Learning in BPS. And we know that we have to renegotiate some of our DOG agreements and META consent decrees to be able to remove any barriers towards the implementation of this adapted plan.
Cualquier barrera hacia la implementación de este plan adaptado. Next, please. Perdón. Como saben, la educación bilingüe
Political side of the process. So as you know that bilingual education is an inherently political process, and we are trying as a district to really live up to our vision of effective anti-racist bilingual educational programs.
Renee, thank you. Thank you, Ahmed.
Gracias, Ellen, por la presentación. Sé que
Thank
tenía
you,
bastante
Ellen, for that lovely presentation. I know that was quite a bit of information to absorb. Let's take 30 seconds to pause for the interpreter to take a quick breather.
Les voy a introducir, a presentar nuestro panel de esta tarde. La señora
I'm going
Audrey,
to introduce our panelists for this evening.
cualitativa con más de 10 años de experiencia en investigación y evaluación de educación STEM en escuelas públicas, organizaciones comunitarias y
Okay,
universidades.
our panelist, Audrey Martinez Guarapam. Audrey Martinez is a qualitative researcher with more than 10 years of experience in STEM education, research, and evaluation in public schools, community organizing, and universities in Massachusetts, Texas, Mexico. Outside of Turk, Audrey enjoys spending time with family and friends, painting, biking, learning about history, nature, volunteering as a Boston Public School parent and a DLAC member. Doctora Maria Luisa Parra Velasco has a degree in psychology, a doctorate in Hispanic linguistics, and 15 years of experience in the fields of second language acquisition and bilingual children development. Dr. Parra has always been fascinated by the complexities and joys of bilingual development. He enjoys working with parents, teachers, and pediatricians in training to seek the understanding and to improve the path of multilingualism. Hanna Tavares is recently the director of the Rafael Hernandez Pre-K to 8 dual language school in Roxbury, has worked for 26 years as an urban bilingual educator and dedicated her life work to dismantling systems of oppression. Hanna Tavares became an elementary school superintendent on July 1st, 2019. Bethy Verano. Miss Verano was born in Bogota, Colombia, and emigrated with her family at the age of 12. He entered the Boston Public Schools and graduated from the John D. Bryant School of Mathematics and Science. Bethy Verano is currently the principal of Hurley K-8 Dual Language School after 3 years of service at Boston Latin School as an assistant principal. Josefina Peralta will be facilitating this panel.
Primero que todo, quería darle mi agradecimiento a los miembros del panel que han
I want to thank all the members of this panel
y también agradecer a todos los demás presentes.
and also I'd like to thank everybody else that is present and is joining us in this conversation.
Quería comenzar con mi querida colega Hanna Tavares.
I would like to start with my dear colleague Ana
¿Alguna
Tavares,
experiencia que has visto o tenido
and
experiencia que ha tenido un impacto positivo
your
con nuestros
experience,
estudiantes
what
multilingües
have you seen
en las
has had a
escuelas
positive
de la ciudad
impact,
de Boston, en particular con nuestros estudiantes hispanohablantes?
in particular, a positive outcome for our students in BPS? It's important that you know that I am a mother of three and that I am very proud to have my three kids in the district. For me, as the director or principal of a bilingual school, I could see firsthand the richness to have a bilingual program for our community, our Hispanic community, because we're sending a positive message with the relevance of your mother language. And in that language, we can acquire anything that is needed to succeed and to have success academically. So in an environment where we see our culture, our language as enrichment and cultural enrichment, so we are studying our own enriching culture because we have learned through many years that if we use our culture as a vehicle to learn, um, our students will be able to have success and to move forward nonstop. They will succeed. So Renee mentioned that at this point in my career, after 26 years, I have so many kids that went through my hands and that were successful in bilingual
Muchísimas
programs.
gracias, Ana, por tu testimonio.
Thank you,
Y
Ana.
ahora quería hacerle la misma pregunta a también otra colega,
I would like
Betty
to
Verano,
ask the same
de
question to
su
Betty
rol
Verano,
actual de directora de la escuela Hurley.
that is the director of the Hurley School. Thank you so much.
Como directora, pero también como alguien que se graduó de Boston Public Schools.
Not only
en New York.
as a director in the
Creo
school,
que
but
son
also
dos cosas
as a
súper
person
bien.
that
Una
graduated
es
from the district,
la
from the Boston
importancia de
Public
que los niños
Schools.
entiendan por qué deben aprender ambos idiomas para poder
It's very important that our
conectarlos a su
kids can
cultura, a su
understand
familia, a su
the
comunidad,
importance
y
of
eso es
learning
importante porque
two
creo que muchas
languages,
veces
two cultures,
como latinos, como inmigrantes que hablamos
because
otro idioma,
as Latin
no recibimos el
Americans,
mensaje que como
as
nosotros somos bilingües,
immigrants,
también de la misma forma que
we
cuando
need
tal
to
vez una
send the
persona
message
que
that it
sea
is
americana está
okay.
tratando de aprender otro idioma, celebramos eso, pero no
So we
celebramos que nuestros
celebrate
niños
if other
están
people would
todo el
like to
tiempo en
learn
este
Spanish
espacio
as well.
bilingüe o multilingüe, y creo
But
que
it
eso es muy
is very
importante.
important to be
Ahora,
bilingual
como
or
vieron
multilingual.
antes, sabemos que toma un rigor muy
We
bien
do know that
fuerte
it needs to
para
be a
poder aprender
rigorous
dos idiomas,
environment
tener
to
que
be
entender
learning in
que
two
todo el
languages
tiempo los niños se están movilizando y
because
moviendo
all the
para saber
time the
los
kids
dos
are
idiomas,
moving
eso es
their
muy importante.
brains,
Y
they're
el
thinking
segundo creo
in
que es
two different
para
languages.
ser exitoso en nuestro sistema
But
educacional,
to
tenemos
succeed,
que considerar las familias, tienen que
we
considerarse
have
los
to pay
maestros
attention
y
to
nuestro
who
sistema
are we
es
teaching,
muy
who
basado en
are
que
the
pues
families
tú
that we
tienes, tú
have
no sabes a
in
dónde
front
tienes
of
que ir,
us.
cómo elegir a una escuela, sino
So
cuál programa es mejor, cuáles son las opciones que
we
tienen, cuáles
are
son las que
here
no
to
tienen.
support
Y eso
our
es algo que a
families,
veces
to let them
no
know
pasa
what is best
Entonces,
for
vemos
your
en esta
kids,
donde las familias
what is
depende
best in terms
de
of
la
the
escuela
schools that
y
you need to
sí,
choose,
sí hay veces que
what is
ya
most
ustedes les
appropriate.
van a ayudar y les van a decir, mire,
And
vea esto, mire esto,
we
pero todo el
are
tiempo es
here
así.
to
Entonces
help
creo que
our
tenemos que luchar
families,
por
to advise
de
them, to
ampliar
let
la
them know
comunicación, la
what are the
información,
best
las noticias,
choices, to be
digo,
able to
este es el
communicate
sistema
with
que
them.
existe y aquí este es como lo debe de tomar para que tus niños sean exitosos,
And this is
porque
how
eso
you need to
usualmente
analyze
viene siendo un
your
problema. Los niños
situation
en la
and your
escuela van
kids'
a ser bien,
future and how they
poder,
can
pero aparte
succeed.
de eso es pasar el sistema y tenemos que ayudar con esa, ¿cuál es la llave para ese sistema?
So we need to have the keys
Gracias,
to succeed, and we need to
muy
share the
amable.
keys with
Ahora
our
voy
families
a
to
ir
succeed.
con la señora Audrey Martínez Budapam.
Okay, we're gonna move with Audrey
La
Martinez.
perspectiva de, ya sea como padre, miembro de la
And
comunidad,
this is the same
esposo,
question as a parent, as a member of DLAC.
de los estudiantes hispanohablantes y a las familias en su educación.
So what is the most positive things that you can share as part of our Latino families?
Bueno, soy mamá de una niña de tercer grado en la Winship.
I'm a mother of a third grader
Hace 5 años en las escuelas
in the
públicas de Boston.
district.
Um,
And about 5 years ago, I began to get involved in the Boston public schools. About 3 years, I began to join some of the committees in the schools. I was very interested because when I was 13, my parents went back to Mexico, and I lost 2 years in my education for not knowing the language. And I firsthand could see how we have to struggle when we don't know the language. So there were very, very few teachers that could communicate with me, that could understand Spanish. I also learned that there were many parents who didn't know what homework was relevant for the kids, so how they could guide their kids with homework. So we started this group of parents to be able to give each other support, to find out, what the kids had for homework, so that we could also get to know each other. And also developing this group of parents also build up relationships with the kids to become friends as well. So it was a tool to support our kids. So we could also support each other with transportation, picking them up. So this group began to grow in the school. And when COVID came, immediately this group was able to identify who was in need of what. So it was through this group that we were able to build up a list of needs that the different families had, and how to request whatever was needed for the different families. And all the members of this group have been able to support one or the other. It's always been a positive message, of support from any of the members in the group. We also talk about fun
Y entonces,
events.
el verano pasado,
Last
nuestra
summer,
directora
our
dejó la Winship.
director from the Winshire left.
Muchas veces cuando, bueno, el Consejo de Padres creó como una encuesta para los padres.
So
Pero eso a veces
the parent council created
por ejemplo,
like a
muchos
survey
padres que
for
vienen de
our
países
parents.
donde no tuvieron oportunidad de recibir una buena educación. Entonces, a veces luchamos con el
Because some of our parents didn't have the fortune to receive a good education.
no pueden leer bien.
Or sometimes, even if they speak a different language than English, they're not able to read in their own language. So we are able to share, to give suggestions, to talk to each other. So we have been able to create a list of what are the needs of these families and the group. And we have very fortunate, and we are very fortunate that the principal of the Winter now speaks Spanish. Every 2 weeks we meet with him. It's on Sundays at 8 p.m. And we thank him for stopping by in these meetings and answering questions that the group may have. And I've seen more members joining the group because they hear the important issues that we want to discuss and information. Our parents have a lot to give. To be able to see in this group that we can reach those goals are great, and that this is what I wanted to share.
Audrey, por tu
Thank you,
testimonio.
Audrey.
Nos has dado tantas ideas.
You've given us so many
Y ahora
ideas.
quería conversar con la doctora María Luisa Parra Velasco. Muchísimas gracias por
I
estar
wanted to
aquí
talk to
con
the doctor
esta tarde.
this afternoon.
Muchas gracias a ustedes.
María Luisa,
Compartir con nosotros en su experiencia y en la investigación actual, qué es lo que ha impactado positivamente o que impacta positivamente a estudiantes hispanohablantes en particular y a las familias.
okay, if the doctor can
Claro que
give us
sí,
the
y voy a dar
positive impacts
un poquitito de
our family have
términos de
as
los muchos
Latinos in the
sombreros que he
system.
usado en diferentes
Well, I
ámbitos
have had
multilingües.
to use
Yo
many
vine
different
de
hats,
México a este
being
país
multilingual.
cuando
I
vine
came
a
from Mexico to the United
estudiar un poquito
States,
de inglés, aprenderlo
and I didn't know a lot of English.
siento
So,
que después de 25 años sigo intentándolo, ¿no?
and I still feel that after 25 years, I'm still learning.
Un programa bilingüe en Somerville.
And I was able to join a bilingual program in
Así que tengo
Somerville.
experiencia con ese programa y también con amigos en Cambridge.
So I have
Y ahora soy
experiences
profesora de
in that
español
program
de
as well as
estudiantes latinos.
in
También soy
Cambridge.
profesora de español para estudiantes no latinos que están
I'm
interesados
also
en
a
el español
Spanish
como una
teacher
segunda
for
lengua. Y lo que les puedo
English
decir es
speakers,
que me da un enorme gusto
and I
ver
am really happy
estas nuevas
to
posibilidades
see these new
plantear,
possibilities
reimaginar, reinventar la educación
that we
bilingüe
have to
en el
reimagine,
distrito,
reinvent
allá afuera
different ways to
en el
teach our
estado y en todo el
kids,
país, porque bueno, la
and
presencia
not
latina es
only
muy
in
importante y
our
significativa.
state, but throughout this
Quiero
country.
agregar a todas las palabras importantísimas que ustedes
I
han
want to
dicho,
add to many important things that you all have mentioned,
bialfabetización,
is that
conexiones,
I have seen
cultura,
porque creo
I
que
have seen that throughout the teaching, giving literacy to our families, there is one word that is very important in our development, and is identity.
Pero el español sigue siendo algo que de una forma nos sigue conectando
Because part of our identity is our language. It is our communication. It is the network that continues to connect
no
us.
se los tengo que decir, estoy segura que todos estamos expuestas a toda esta sonoridad de nuestra lengua.
So we
Y
know
creo que la buena
how
noticia
beautiful
es
is
que
our
los jóvenes
language,
que toman las clases de español en Harvard, latinos, están muy
so
agradecidos con las familias y los padres que pudieron mantener de alguna
the
manera ese idioma y
young
se los pudieron transmitir.
students at
Y
Harvard
ahora están
that are
preocupadas
taking
las palabras
Spanish are so
como
grateful
soft
to their
power,
families that were
el
able
uso
to
por favor del
maintain
idioma.
that part of their
Pero así que
culture as
tenemos
an
un
expression
poder
of
y
their
les digo
language,
también una gran riqueza
because
que
it's
no
an
es fácil
enrichment,
mantener cuando se
because
hay
it's
que
not
adquirir una lengua
easy
dominante
to
en todos
maintain,
estos
you know, when you are surrounded by the dominant language.
pero el compromiso de poder seguir manteniendo esa
But the
riqueza
compromise that
es
we
muy
acquire to
importante
continue to maintain
para seguir
that
fortaleciendo
that
esas
identity,
identidades
the
usuarios de la
language,
lengua y no
because we
solamente de la
use the
lengua
language,
oral, sino de la lengua escrita. Que
not
podamos
just
seguir
the
abriendo
oral language, but
espacios
that we can
donde
also
todos los jóvenes usen.
write in Spanish, that we
Hay
can
mucho que
use it,
aprender de ellos porque el tema
and
de
we
la
all can learn,
conexión y el Spanglish, la
because we also
creatividad,
mix
son temas
the
muy importantes que
languages.
traen
We
a
also
usar
use
y
our
pensar en
Spanglish,
qué escenarios y oportunidades de aprendizaje
because it's
podemos
very important
abrir
to
para que estos jóvenes
open up
y estas
and
jóvenes
share
fluirse
with the younger
en el
ones
uso de su
how
lengua.
they are using
Así
their
que
languages.
quiero ser respetuosa del tiempo, pero
I
quería
want to
compartir
respect
con ustedes
everybody's
que
time,
este tema, al centro está la identidad y creo que
but
no
the most
solamente de
important
los
thing is
estudiantes,
that
sino
in
de
the
todos
middle of
nosotros como
all this
padres y
is
madres
our
de
identity.
familia y maestros que estamos conectados con ellos
Our
de muchas
identity
formas
that
afectivas.
we get
Creo que
united
eso
as
es muy
family,
importante.
because it's
Gracias.
very important.
Muchísimas gracias, doctora Parra Velasco.
Thank you,
Y
Doctora
ahora
Parra.
abrimos esto para todos los que están aquí.
Now we're
Sus
opening up the
comentarios,
discussion to
preguntas,
everybody that is
sobre
here.
todo, ¿qué es lo que quisieran ver palmado en este plan en el que estamos trabajando?
What is it that you would like to see in this roadmap, this work that we are trying to build?
Nuestras familias y miembros de la comunidad, quiero repasar algunas normas. Si tiene una pregunta o comentario, use la función de levantar la mano.
Okay, well, some of the norms that we want to follow is, if you have a question,
debería haber una opción en la parte inferior.
raise your hand.
Levantar la mano en azul.
I think at the bottom there is an icon that you can touch to raise your hand. And also that the participants will ask one question at a time. And then we will have a couple of minutes to answer that one question.
Compartimos. Ya. Hola, buenas tardes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Me llamo Celeste.
My name is Celeste.
Soy mamá, conozco a varios en esta llamada, pero soy mamá de dos niños en la escuela Hernández.
I'm a mother of two kids in the Hernandez school.
Varios miembros de la familia, aunque no estén en la escuela, siempre sean parte de la familia y del legado, se dice, del legacy de mis hijos y de
So I want to continue the legacy of our family, and that is part of my role. I am very thankful because the community, the school community is excellent.
También tuvo una experiencia parecida porque mi pareja es de familia chilena. Entonces regresamos a Chile por unos años y Joaquín se había terminado el segundo grado en la escuela Hernández y cuando fuimos a Chile podía entrar en una escuela chilena.
So I had a very good experience because my partner is from Chile. And when my son finished the second grade and we moved to Chile, he was able to enter this school in Chile in Spanish because he was coming up with a lot of language strengths.
Y también quería hablar, y yo sé que Ana y yo hemos hablado de esta experiencia también, pero en mi caso eran mis abuelos que vinieron de México y soy criada por una mamá soltera italiana.
So in my case, my grandparents were the ones that came from Mexico, and I was raised by a single mom.
Es por asistir a una escuela bilingüe desde el pre-kinder hasta el sexto.
And the reason why my Spanish was able to evolve so well is because I was part of a bilingual school, K through 8.
Como yo, que han perdido esa conexión al español o a la cultura o a la identidad.
Because there are youngsters that have lost that connection to their identity.
O tenían como esa presión o esa vergüenza de hablar.
Or had the pressure or sometimes shame that was not given to them because they were not part of a bilingual school that was teaching them how to read and write their language and speak it properly as well. So we feel so proud to be able to give that to our kids, to have had that grace to enjoy that experience. This is an experience I wanted to share because I am so proud of being a result of this, and also I am proud that we're taking steps to build up. So I've been working in Boston for a while, and I work in the high school and the
diferencias gigantes en las oportunidades que son brindados a los que están recién llegando de otros países, pero de adolescente, que igual
So my concern is the adolescents that come to the high school. It's very, very difficult for them when they don't know English because the gap between what they learn is incredible. I mean, the resources are so limited. No, not all the schools in the district also have strong programs. So not all of them are able to support the kids, the new immigrants. So that is my main concern, that we have some schools that are models and they shine, but we have other schools that don't have that many resources. So I know that this is a systematic change and it's not easy to do it rapidly, but I'm here for that.
Gracias, Celeste. Vemos a Gladys Maldonado también, al menos que la doctora Silvia quiera responder a Celeste antes de pasar a Gladys.
No, se entiende completamente el mensaje. Gracias.
Gladys, por favor.
Buenas tardes. Sí, mi nombre es Gladys Maldonado y tengo a mis niñas. en las escuelas públicas de Boston, en la McKay, en East Boston, y es una muy buena escuela, ¿verdad?
I have my kids in the McKay, a very good school. 80% of the students are Latino.
Hace un año, por el trabajo de mi esposo, nos quisimos mudar afuera de aquí, de una ciudad, ¿verdad? Que le tocaba muy lejos para mejor oportunidad.
We wanted to move about a year ago because he switched jobs and it was far from Boston. But we saw that we were not able to give bilingual education to our kids, so we just went to test it. If we could live in another town. And we went to test it and we saw that we couldn't get that bilingual education, that cultural experience that we wanted for our kids.
A las directoras de las escuelas, ¿verdad? De ciertas escuelas, y a la psicóloga, a muchas personas que me ha encantado como han hablado, ¿verdad? De que se implementaría estos programas en
So I want to thank many of the speakers in the panel because what we are trying to do in the district to build up these programs is so important. I talk with my kids a lot at home. This is the main language that we speak at home. So they are talking a lot of Spanish at home.
Perdón, creo que era el Kinder 2, mandé a mi niña y a ella le encantaba mucho hablar español. Y habían llegado como 5 niños de otros países, de Centroamérica, recién llegados, de 5 o 6 años. Entonces mi niña, para que ellas se sintieran en confianza, les comenzó a hablar en español. Les comenzó a hablar en español porque en el Kinder 1 le habían dado oportunidad a la maestra que podía hablar español y también inglés. Entonces, la maestra del segundo, del K2, como que no le gustaba mucho que mi niña hablara español.
Well, I'm relating to my personal experience because my daughter, when she was in K2, she was talking to new immigrant kids that were 5 and 6 in Spanish, and the teacher didn't like it. The teacher previous to that, didn't mind that the kids would speak in Spanish or English, but the teacher in K2 was an American teacher, and I felt bad, that my daughter was really trying to help, and she would take it with a lot of consciousness that I do want to help them because they don't know English. So it's important that the kids are able to speak in Spanish if they need to.
Yo más o menos tenía que decirle, esforzándome con el poquito inglés que sabía, pero al mismo tiempo entonces ella como casi no me entendía, solo me decía, ok, es ok, no problem, ok, me decía. Entonces me sentía mal porque yo decía...
So, we want to be in good terms with the community. With my poor English, another case was I was trying to explain to the teacher that I had, an appointment and I needed to take my daughter out of school, but they didn't have an interpreter. And then she was kind of anxious, the teacher would only say, okay, but we didn't have communication. So communication is really, really important. I just want to remind the speakers to take your time talking so that I will be able to do a good job interpreting.
Maybe we can move to the next hand for now, René.
Okay. Doctora Parra.
Doctora Parra?
Bueno, creo que hay otras manos, no sé si estaban antes que yo, Audrey y Lorena.
I think there were other hands.
No, adelante.
Lorena.
Buenas noches, muchas gracias.
Lorena.
Mi nombre es Lorena y
Thank you for this opportunity.
tengo varios papeles, pero el más importante es ser madre de un joven que asiste a la escuela del Hurley.
My main role is to be a mom of a young son. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, because you will make me think about my own growth when I was growing up. And also, you know, thinking about how problematic it is in the district, you know, to speak the different languages.
Que mi niño pueda asistir a un colegio como el Hurley, pero sabiendo que muchos otros que de pronto aún lo necesiten más, no tengan la misma oportunidad.
So I'm happy to know that my own son is able to attend the Hurwitz and have those opportunities, but there are some other kids that don't have that opportunity. In the Hurwitz school, they can call him Joaquin because that is his name. And he always feels proud to be able to speak his own language. And he's also so happy that when my parents come to Colombia or when we go to visit, he's able to communicate and he's able to feel at home. So what I want to see in the schools, not just in the bilingual schools, but in all the schools, that the kids can feel at home, that they can feel accepted, that they can have the opportunity to share.
Y parte de eso es hablando de algo que comentó Gladys, que si todas las profesoras o los profesores no tienen el idioma o no tienen el entendimiento de que nuestro idioma, que ser bilingüe o que ser multilingüe, es algo bueno, que es algo que se debe de cultivar, que es algo que
So it's important what Gladys was saying, that the teachers need to come from the premise, even if they are not bilingual or multilingual, that is okay. That if you don't have that ability or access to another language, that it is okay to let other kids use their languages.
Yo estoy muy de acuerdo con todos los comentarios y
I am very much in agreement with the comments that have been made.
Bilingües, pero también otra cosa que me preocupa mucho es el rendimiento académico.
So I think it is important, you know, to set up the bilingual programs. However, my main concern is to see progress and that new immigrants can evolve and learn in subjects like science.
Y yo creo que esas maestras tienen mucha potencial, muchas de ellas son de nuestra comunidad.
So I know that there are teachers that are coming from our own community.
No tienen el apoyo y el entrenamiento académico para apoyar a nuestros hijos. De hecho, mi colega.
So there are some teacher aides that may not have the training, you know, to be teachers, but that they have, they are part of the community, our community. And they can teach our kids a better way.
situaciones donde hay maestras que no hablan el español.
And I think that they can help with teachers that teachers that don't speak Spanish, that they can serve as support to the students that are learning English.
Entonces es más fácil que los maestros pueden compartir eso con los padres de familia para que ellos puedan apoyar mejor a sus hijos.
So it is important that translation happens in the schools, and a good translation that could be passed out to the parents and, you know, read among ourselves so that we can have the information in Spanish.
¿Cómo pueden ayudar con la lectura? O sea, mirando un libro, platicando sobre el libro. O sea, porque creo que hay muchas formas que las familias pueden ayudar a nuestros estudiantes si hay más comunicación entre los maestros.
I think that there are more ways that the parents can help their kids if we establish better communication between teachers and parents.
Los maestros están entrenados para poder compartir eso con los padres de familia.
And that the parents have the training to be able to reach out to parents from other cultures. And this is something that should be happening throughout the year, to be giving support to our kids. I was a teacher previously.
Si te basas en cómo aprendiste de niño, entonces tienes
and
que
then you go to trying to understand how was it that you learned as a kid.
solamente se puede hacer eso con un entrenamiento consistente, o sea, que es
And how the kids learn has to happen with in a consistent, continuous learning way.
Entonces también quiero que también la calidad académica también
And
es
it's
de alta calidad.
important that we have high quality education for our kids as well. That is very important.
Haruna?
Is it okay if I ask in English?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Haruna. Full transparency, I work for BPS Technology Department, so I've seen many of you in that capacity, but today I'm here as a parent. I have two kids at the Mario Yumana Academy in East Boston, which is a dual language school. And I have a couple of different comments. One is just following up on what Audrey would just said. Every year, so Imana's dual language program is still a growing program, and every year we're still adding grades. And every year we struggle finding native language teachers for the Spanish program. And I think, you know, if anything we can do to advocate for change in the licensure requirement for bilingual programs would be really helpful in getting those native language teachers. I know last year the NTEL that requirement was relaxed because of COVID, and there was an article a couple of days ago that, you know, that there were a lot more diversity in teacher pool for district because of that. And I think
Haruna, can I ask you to pause real quick so I can translate
sure.
your comment?
Thank you.
Haruna trabaja para el distrito de las escuelas de Boston dentro del departamento de tecnología, y su comentario tiene que ver, I may have to ask you to paraphrase the last portion. You said you were a parent at Humana.
Yes.
Ella es madre de estudiante en la escuela humana en East Boston y tiene una preocupación. If you could just paraphrase your last part of your concern, that would be great.
Yes, so I think just the challenges in getting native language teachers for the dual language program and licensure requirements for that, if that could be something we could advocate for.
Okay. Y ella, la preocupación que ella tiene es el desafío que tiene el distrito actualmente con el problema de la licenciatura para los profesores de los programas de educación bilingüe y los programas duales. Ella quiere presentar la preocupación, pero también la posibilidad de que se pueda abogar para pedir más recursos para poder apoyar ese problema de adquirir más licenciaturas para los profesores.
Thank you. And the second point is we also have I feel like we have challenges around evaluating schools, assessment of students and schools.
La otra preocupación que tengo es que me parece que el distrito tiene desafíos a la manera a la altura de evaluar no solamente los estudiantes, sino también las escuelas en cuanto a la programación que ofrecen.
For example, all the Illuminate tests are only in English, and the students only really get tested in English, but not in Spanish, and they can't show what they can do in Spanish.
Por ejemplo, todas las evaluaciones que se hacen a través de Lumina solamente se ofrecen en inglés. Entonces no es posible captar el aprendizaje, la cantidad de aprendizaje que los estudiantes de los programas bilingües han accesado en el idioma español, porque los instrumentos de evaluación no miden en el idioma español.
And same thing with school evaluations with the MCAS scores. We feel like they're only looking at what the students are doing in English. And we know from research that in bilingual programs, the English acquisition happens at different rates. So I feel like it needs to be something done to make sure that dual language programs are evaluated as a dual language school in both languages.
Y la misma preocupación con referencia a las pruebas estandarizadas como el MCAS, donde se mide la capacidad del estudiante en la adquisición del idioma inglés, pero muchos estudios revelan que los estudiantes que participan de los programas de aprendizaje dual aprenden el idioma inglés a una velocidad distinta que los estudiantes de un programa regular. Por lo tanto, ella aboga que es necesario que existan programas de evaluación exclusivos para las escuelas que ofrecen programas de educación bilingüe a nivel dual.
And the third point, I'll promise I'll stop after this, is what happens beyond the middle school. For Spanish programs, we have the Margarita Muniz Academy, but for other dual language schools in the district, are there going to be options and pathways for students to continue the dual language past middle school?
Y su último punto es que ella quiere saber cuál es el plan o qué sucede una vez los estudiantes terminan la escuela intermedia. Para el idioma español sabemos que existe el programa de la escuela de Margarita Muñiz, pero para los demás programas que enseñan en otros idiomas no tenemos actualmente ella quiere saber qué es lo que va a suceder para ofrecer programas y oportunidades para esos estudiantes.
Thank you, gracias.
Thank you, gracias. Eliud, usted es próximo. Y por favor, vamos a un recordatorio de hablar despacio para darle la oportunidad a la intérprete a interpretar en inglés. Y limite su pregunta o comentario a 2 minutos. Gracias.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Eliud Carbonell. Llegamos de Puerto Rico a Boston en enero del 2020. Los niños me cursaban anteriormente en otra escuela. En este año...
Bueno, yo estoy viniendo de Puerto Rico y tengo uno de mis niños en la escuela Hernández y también entonces en la high school.
Estos programas están disponibles en estas escuelas que yo mencioné.
So the programs that you're talking about, are they available in the schools where my kids are going attending? Because I would like to know. So we've been here for a year. And I can compare. I can compare how my kids are progressing, and I think that we are one step ahead of my kids. So I want to see ways to support them. How can I support my kids?
No sé si la doctora Parra sigue acá. Ella había levantado su mano y después vamos con María.
Sí, claro, aquí estoy. Bueno, creo que lo que va quedando claro, todavía hay tiempo para seguir conversando,
Okay,
pero
we still have time to continue to talk, but I think what we are beginning to see is that we are going to have to make a joint effort because it's a lot of territory that we need to cover. It's a lot of tools that we need to reach out for. We have to do more communication, and then the experience that I learned from when I had my kids and the bilingual schools is that we need to enrich the communication and the network of the parents in these programs because the training also for the teachers is fundamental. There are so many obstacles, not just the way we learn, but also the way we teach. So also the relationships that we establish with our kids, also we need to get the teachers more conscious of the obstacles that they can encounter. También we're also talking about giving high quality education, not just in English, but also in Spanish. And that the kids can be incorporated, even if they're not Spanish speakers or Latinos, that they are part of the school. And so we are also having to unite as a group and as a multilingual group because we have to be committed and compromise all the stakeholders to succeed, because it's not just the younger ones. We also need to reach to the newcomers that comes vulnerable to a country that does not offer them the resources that they need to reach their goals, to reach their dreams. Because we know, like even in this group, we already have people that have big compromise with the bilingual education. So we know that this is going to take a while. But if we start building a clear vision, and then with that vision, if we can follow the steps to build it up. So I have worked a lot, building up a vision to teach Spanish. So we cannot ignore the linguistic richness that the new immigrants come with.
Muchas gracias. María, usted es próxima. María Melgar. María.
Renee, remind her that she needs to unmute.
María debe de oprimir la tecla donde está el micrófono para que pueda hablar y nosotros escucharla. Tiene que deactivar el micrófono. Okay, maybe it was an accident.
And while we, en lo que tal vez María se conecta con el micrófono, no sé si Dr. Romero quiera hacer algún comentario de las últimas.
So while Maria may be able to connect her sound, I wanted to see if Sylvia would have a couple of comments.
Digamos, reconocer lo que dijo el señor Eliud Carbonell.
I wanted to recognize what Mr. Carbonell said, that he has kids in different schools,
Él también está estudiando inglés.
and that he's also learning English.
Están estudiando inglés. Bueno, obviamente los recomiendo a todos por estar en
Well, I congratulate all of them for learning, all of them learning English. I mean, during this time with the COVID, with the different modalities. So some of the students are still learning remotely, still using the tablets. So this has been a very difficult year.
Quiero recomendar es, digamos, continuar este cometido de estar trabajando con sus escuelas, con sus profesores.
So I just want to commend them to continue working with the schools, to continue working with the staff in the school, with the administrators. So it's important to listen to, you know, the people that are asking us for help and get the people support when they need it.
Por un lado entiendo lo difícil que es. Por el otro lado quiero decirles que estamos poniendo un plan digamos, para mejorar todos estos problemas sistémicos que ustedes han identificado.
So on the other hand, we're trying to build up a plan so that you know, we can unify the system better, you know, and we can build it up. We're trying to build an executive board.
Entonces, quiero decirles que pronto vamos a poder.
I want to tell you that sooner rather than later, we will tell you about the strategies that we are starting to develop and proposals. We have the idea that many of the dual programs are not really reaching out to the population that needs it because there are more demand. So we want to open up more possibilities to offer the dual programs to the community because there is no space. Also, it's important to support the Spanish native speakers, teachers. We also need more aides. We need other staff that can help with guidance to support our kids that are learning English.
Estamos incluyendo también una manera de hacer capacitación profesional para
So we're also trying to build up training for the teachers that need to join in this effort so that we can change the way some teachers are thinking, in terms of only approaching a one-way road with the English language, and we want to develop a plan with strategies and in a timeline where we can reach all these objectives that we have. And we want to ask you all to support us if you believe in how we need to change the philosophy of teaching our students. And, looking for a multilingual approach, a bilingual approach.
Gracias. ¿Alguien más tiene un comentario o una pregunta?
Yo creo que María ya logró encender su micrófono.
María.
Sí, no sé si me escucha.
Sí.
Sí, yo nomás saqué un permiso ahorita por reunirme con ustedes, que estoy trabajando, pero sí saqué un permiso nomás.
So right now I'm talking with you all, and I'm supposed to be working, but I asked for permission to be here.
Perdón, en Jamaica. Entonces yo pedí
I have a daughter in school in Jamaica, Plain.
Y no sé, a mí no me dijeron nada, ni me mandaron dirección, ni nada para dónde la iba a mandar yo, ni
So
qué pasó con esa niña, porque la verdad ella no la pude mandar a la escuela, porque como no me mandaron ni dirección ni nada, la niña no está estudiando.
So right now I have a girl that is not really in school because they didn't send me any information to where to register her, or where I should put her in school. So Renee is telling Maria that
Mejor le envío yo el mío.
that
Al compartir el suyo, usted lo va a compartir con todos los que estamos acá.
Renee is saying that she's going to put her email so that Maria will send her a private email, and Maria doesn't have to have her email public in the chat, and make the connection to see how her daughter will be able to be registered in school.
Nos alegra. Señora María, le puse el correo electrónico mío.
So check for my email in the chat. And you could also, in my email, you can put your phone number, and I can also call you.
¿Alguien más tiene una pregunta o un comentario? Acá tenemos a Carmen. Carmen Natasha, próxima.
Carmen Natasha is the next person. So thank you. I wanted to add.
Al tema, bueno, sí viene al tema, pero es algo que yo quiero dejar saber a ustedes. No sé si es que he tenido suerte en las escuelas que he elegido para mi hijo. Yo tengo aproximadamente, bueno, voy a cumplir 2 años que vine aquí a este país en junio.
I've been here since June. I've been here for 2 years. And I didn't know much English when I came. And also my son, he didn't know much English when he came either.
Por mucho, él incluso, yo soy una adulta y él incluso me corría a mí en mi
So he has learned so much English. I am so grateful. He can even correct my English because I'm also trying to learn English. So I just wanted to let you know that the schools that he's attending have done a great job. I had him in West Roseberry, and I wanted to say that. I'm so glad to hear, successes.
Ahora mismo no tenemos más manos alzadas, René.
So right now, Renee, we don't have any more.
Sí, yo tengo
Any more questions?
Okay, María. Muy bien.
Pero quería solo dar un comentario y es que sí, estoy de acuerdo que la educación bilingüe es muy buena, pero
I did want to make a comment that the bilingual education is such a good asset, and that not all schools offer that. So just whatever we need to do as community members to support your efforts, please let us know. How can we tell other parents? How can we communicate to continue to support your efforts to have more bilingual education? Because sometimes we want our kids to just learn English, and they begin to forget the Spanish.
En 11, grado 11, pero yo siempre aprende y por último en su escuela superior aprendió y ahora es bilingüe, pero
so like my kid at the beginning wasn't learning enough Spanish, and until he reached now higher education, el bachillerato or the high school, that he was able to be bilingual and to learn well the Spanish. So it is important to support and give you the support that you all need.
Está participando en nuestro comité asesor a nivel de
So Maria is participating in the district committee council. So I'm putting my email in the chat for any families that want to be participating in the different committees. Is another venue that we can use to establish this network support, and we get in touch with our families at the last week of the month. So feel free to send us your email, because we want to invite our parents to the different committees that are needed to hear your voice and what you want. So Vanessa.
Sí. Hola a todas. Es un
Hi.
enorme placer
It's an honor to meet you. This group that is opening a window where we can see each other, where we can communicate. I'm a person that just arrived in the United States, This is the first time I joined this group participating.
Están estudiando en una escuela que le agradezco muchísimo.
And I have my kids in the Hurley School, and I'm so thankful that is a blessing for me to have them in the Hurley. Because at home I have felt so much, and I have felt so well in contact with the teachers to be able to communicate. Always telling me, what else do you need? What can I help you with? Don't hesitate to let us know. I mean, all this support. I mean, I'm so fortunate. When you come from a different country and you have the experience to have had your kids in a different system, is I have not experienced that the teachers come looking for the parents, offering support, and my kids are so happy because we don't look for the size of the school, or we want your kids to be happy. We want your kids to be learning. And I want to say that I am so thankful and satisfied because my kids are also in an age where they are absorbing so much. One is 8 years old, the other one is 11.
Y ahorita está reforzando desde la base, desde cómo se escriben las palabras.
So, the younger one is learning English from the basic, because then they can speak the Spanish, but they're not really able to read it and write it well. So now the question is for me, where can I learn English? I would like to have options of where I can learn English. And really, thank you so much, because just to be able to share things in this group and to hear from you all, I am so thankful.
Inglés para hablantes de otro idioma, como también colaboramos con Mujeres Unidas Avanzando. Puse el nombre mío y el correo electrónico, como también la de mi colega Josefina, para que
Okay, I put in the chat information for you to reach out to me, and also to
No puedo ver en dónde está el chat para ver aquí. Ya lo veo. Ajá. Voy a ver aquí el chat.
also, you can hear from my colleague Josefina Peralta, and also my email. Thank you so much for this opportunity for you all to bring your voices, and I am so happy to hear that you are looking for this type of teaching. My kid came when he was about 3 years old when he came. So I've been trying to talk to him in Spanish. So here at home, we are trying to continue to speak in Spanish, but at first he had difficulty, joining the teaching in English, but now it's the other way around. He's not talking in Spanish, he's talking more in English.
La profesora del niño habla español y entonces de una manera u otra yo siento ese apoyo. Entonces,
so his teacher speaks Spanish.
En cuarto grado le están dando 40 minutos los lunes de ESL, que al final yo no creo que eso sea realmente lo que ustedes persiguen. Ustedes buscan la opción de que se implemente la materia del idioma en las escuelas.
So with him, the teacher is reaching him out in English and Spanish, but with my girl, she's in an ESL program and she's being taught like on Mondays 40 minutes of ESL.
Por suerte mi niña ya vino de 6 años y ya sabía leer y escribir en español y yo he leído.
So my girl came when she was 6 and she knew how to read and write in Spanish.
Existe la posibilidad, yo sé que esto quizá es un pilar para ustedes seguir hacia adelante con este proceso. ¿Cómo ustedes lo implementarían? ¿Ustedes pretenden ponerlo en las escuelas?
So how are you thinking about implementing the bilingual program so that all the different schools can, you know, follow the model? Or how could we, the parents, support your cause because it's so important? We are hoping that it's not going to take so long.
Entonces no puede tomar tanto tiempo. Entonces tenemos una combinación de estrategias.
So we have a combination of strategies.
Digamos el apoyo donde existe ahora.
We want to continue with the support that we have in the places where we have. And we want to expand it to more schools. We need to continue clarifying a lot of questions that people have in this case, including the Spanish language as part of the instruction. So have instruction in Spanish and also instruction in English. In some cases, there is a need to be teaching English as a second language.
Debemos dejar de pensar que el aprendizaje y la adquisición del inglés es solamente un tiempo separado.
So we need to stop thinking that only a block of ESL will be the time that the English language will be learned. I think that the English is learned all throughout the different themes that are taught. And you know, we would have the teaching in both languages with teachers expanding the teaching in English and Spanish.
Tenemos un minuto. Quiero darle
Well, we have 1 more minute. We really want to thank all of you for participating in the multilingual teaching.
Gracias al equipo de aprendizaje, oficina de aprendizaje de aprendices de inglés por la presentación y la información y a la oficina de participación comunitaria.
So we want to thank everybody for engaging with us. This presentation will be available on the bostonpublicschools.org/ELL. Thank you to the OEL team for the presentation. So we hope to see you in the next meeting. Thank you to all of you, students, family, staff, and community. I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Dile bye.
Bye.